Hello world, welcome back to Razor RC. Today we are going to be answering the question, what is the best middleweight RC monster truck slash basher on the market today? And what I mean by middleweight is something bigger than like a traditional 10 scale monster truck. So something bigger than like a Granite or Stampede or Haas, and then smaller than like a full-on 8 scale monster truck like a Kronos or a Kraton or a E-Revo 2.0. So these are the middleweights. These are 4S capable, kind of mid-sized RC monster trucks. And I've gathered the 3 biggest brands on the market today. We've got the Tekno MT410 over here on the left. We've got the Traxxas Maxx, of course, well-regarded monster truck. And we've got the Redcat Kaiju over here on the right. Now, noticeably absent is the Arrma Kraton 4S, and I did own an Arrma Kraton 4S for about a year. I don't have one today because it's been discontinued, and rumor is Arrma is releasing a brand new version of that Kraton 4S in the coming months, so we'll have to check that out when it gets released. But on the market today, really it's the Tekno, the Maxx, and the Redcat Kaiju. So what we're going to do is rank all of these from 3rd to 1st and basically give them a score from 1 to 10 in 5 different areas. Those are going to be the design, the performance, durability, support and maintenance, and finally the value of the vehicle. Now, the scores go from 1 to 10, with 5 being like an average score, meaning, you know, it's okay. It's kind of average among its peers, 10 being obviously best in class, and 1 being very, very poor. I don't think any of these got a 1 in any of the categories, but 1 would be basically, it's really just terrible. So yeah, let's get on to it. We're gonna start with 3rd place, and that is going to be the Redcat Kaiju. So the Kaiju comes in 3rd place. Not a bad vehicle by any means. It has one really strong point, which I'll get into, but overall just kind of an average vehicle in this class. They call it an 8th scale monster truck, but it's really actually the smallest of the 3 of these. It's got the shortest wheelbase by probably about a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch or so, slightly small. It is kind of narrow. You know, not a whole lot going on here, except for a couple things. So first off, design wise, pulling off the body, it's kind of got this classic, almost like Stampede style monster truck type bathtub chassis with the removable front and rear ends. If you look at it, the receiver box up top in the front, they pretty much took kind of like a associated rival MT10 and supersized it into the Redcat Kaiju. If those of you not familiar with it, the associated rival MT10 and this vehicle are pretty much made by the same OEM. They've just been rebranded as the Redcat Kaiju and the associated rival MT10. I'm not sure who the original manufacturer is, but they're pretty much the same company, exact same design and stuff like that. There are some really nice things about this vehicle. The power on this thing is pretty good. It's the only 6S capable monster truck among this group. The motor is a little bit on the small side. The ESC, you know, is like adequate, I guess. It's not the best ESC, not the worst ESC, but it is decent. And certainly this is the fastest of the 3, although I generally run this on 4S because it tends to run pretty hot on 6S. Tires are decent. It does have nice aluminum shocks. It does have provisions for some sway bars, which I think you can buy. It does have adjustable turnbuckles, an all-metal drivetrain, including steel CVAs. So really nice vehicle overall in terms of what you get. So in the value category, I think that's really the strong point of this vehicle. It sells for the least. It's $400 here in the United States. That is an absolute steal for, you know, a pretty high quality vehicle for that amount of money. It is the cheapest by far. And performance wise, you know, it's decent. It does need some tuning of the shocks. There's way too much pack. The shock pistons, the holes are too small, so you will have to tune the shocks a bit. It doesn't bottom out, but it actually has the opposite problem. It just packs too much when it kind of slams on the tires, but just kind of bounces off rather than soak up those bumps. Performance wise, it is fast, like I mentioned. It is the fastest. It drives pretty well. It is pretty you know, sort of more race oriented, I guess. A lot of tunability with different shock positions, adjustable camber lengths, even the sway bar provision. So a lot of adjustments you can make to get it to handle better. And like I mentioned, with some shock tuning, I think it drives really, really well. Durability is kind of average. You know, things break on this thing somewhat easily as compared to the other two, I think. It's not fragile. It certainly can hold up to some pretty good bashing, but things will eventually break, like the turnbuckles I've broken. I've broken a hub. I actually cracked one of the pistons in the shock, so a fair amount of things have broken on this. Once you start sending it, you know, like 20 feet in the air, things will tend to break if you're not landing things cleanly. Now, they did make some updates from the original V1 version. I think the bumper, it looks the same, but I've nose planted that thing many times, and it's held up. So durability wise, you know, it's improved from before, but I think still a little bit below the other guys out there. Now for the downsides, the main one is probably going to be support. It is harder to get Redcat parts. You're going to generally have to order them online. Your local store is not going to typically carry Redcat parts. So, you know, that can kind of put you out of commission if you break something while running it. So overall, the Redcat Kaiju gets a total score of 29. Design is 5 points, kind of average. Performance, 6 points, because it does have a pretty good power system that makes it a little bit quicker. Durability, a 5 out of 10, kind of average. Support is below average, 3. But really, the area it excels is value. For 400 bucks, this is probably the best buy on the market today. So in that category, I give it a score of 10 for a total of 29 points. So in third place is the Redcat Kaiju. In second place is a beast of a monster truck, the Traxxas Maxx, actually one of my favorite bashers on the market today. This is well regarded as probably one of the toughest vehicles out there. And so in that category, I actually gave it a full score of 10. Durability is a maximum durability score. Support and maintenance is also excellent. Traxxas is pretty much the best supported brand on the market today. Your local hobby shop is always going to carry Traxxas parts. Parts inventory is generally pretty good even in these challenging times. So those two things make it a pretty good vehicle for pretty much anybody, whether you're a kid, an adult, someone new to the hobby. High durability and a lot of support out there, easy to get parts, and you can always call up Traxxas anytime and they will help you out. That really makes it kind of a newbie friendly brand and a newbie friendly vehicle, because you're going to be able to keep this thing up and running a lot more than the other brands out there. Now on the downsides, I don't like the design a whole lot. They kind of got this symmetrical front and back thing going on. It makes it nice for part support, but you know, in terms of the performance, I kind of think that's where it is a little bit below average. Also, I've got the Wide Max kit installed, but a lot of people have trouble with the shorter original arms, this thing flipping a lot on pavement. A lot of that is actually due to the shock design. They have the exact same shocks front and rear with just the difference of the pistons. But yeah, overall the design is kind of the area I feel like it's a little bit weaker. It is a little bit harder to work on, kind of get to the diffs and stuff. There's a fair amount of work to remove a lot of screws. Performance wise, it's not fast. This is kind of a heavy truck. I didn't weigh it, but it feels the heaviest among the three. The least nimble, the most likely to roll over. Landing jumps, it is tend to chassis slap quite a bit without quite a bit of tuning. You definitely will want to change the shock oils, maybe even look into stiffer springs, especially if you're running the Wide Max. You know, you definitely need to run the stiffer springs, especially in the rear. So out of the box, it does not handle particularly well, does not jump particularly well, but it is super durable. But yeah, in performance, I'm actually going to give it a score of 4 out of 10. And finally, really the worst thing about the Max is that it is expensive. This sells for $550 at the time of this video. The price kind of fluctuates a little bit. I think it was originally $530 when it was released, and they kind of up the price, and that's not including the Wide Max kit, which a lot of people consider to be a must-have. That doesn't include new tires. I do feel like the stock tires are rather poor for an RTR vehicle. They don't provide much traction. They're kind of an all-around tire, which kind of means they don't really work anywhere. So in the value category, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. So final score on the Max is 30 out of a possible 50. Design wise, I'm giving it a 3. Performance, a 4 out of 10. Just does not handle particularly well, does not jump particularly well. It is not particularly fast either. Durability, I'm going to give it a full 10 out of 10. Probably the most durable RC car I personally own. This thing is almost unbreakable. In a couple years of owning this thing, I've broken maybe like 2 or 3 parts. So durability is super high. Support and maintenance, as I mentioned, super high, 10 out of 10. And finally, value, a 3 out of 10. It's honestly overpriced by about $75 to maybe $100. $550 is really getting into full-on 8th scale price range. And so in the value category, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10 for a total of 30 points. And that leaves us with the winner of the 4S Middleweight Monster Truck Shootout. That is going to be the Tekno MT410. I'll talk a little bit about the Kraton 4S as well. And I do have full reviews of all these vehicles, including the Kraton 4S, if you want to know more in depth about each of these. But yeah, the winner of the 4S Middleweight Basher Shootout is going to be the Tekno MT410. Now let's kind of get into the pros of this vehicle. First off, the design. What is this thing? It's really a race truck disguised as a basher. What they did was they took the ET48.3, which is their truggy, slapped it onto basically a buggy chassis from the SCT410.3 or the super light EB40, what is it called? The EB48 it was called. They don't sell that anymore, but yeah, pretty much like a short wheelbase, truggy arms, tires, shocks, drivetrain. So it is a full-on race truck, basically sold as a monster truck kit. So obviously in the design category, that means it's going to have tons of adjustments. This is a fully tunable racing machine. It handles the best. Performance is going to be a full 10 out of 10. This thing drives awesome. It doesn't even really drive like a monster truck. It drives like a full-on race kit. You can take it to the track. You can take it out bashing, all that good stuff. It's just an amazing, amazing vehicle. Handling is bar none one of the best vehicles I've ever driven, even for like among race vehicles. So performance is excellent. Design is excellent. It's got the full 4S capable monster truck, all steel drivetrain, high quality parts. This thing's made in Taiwan, a little bit higher quality than the other two in my opinion. Durability is also very, very good. Teknos are known for being very durable vehicles. A lot of people call them Teknos because they are tanks. I don't think it's as durable as the Max. A lot of people ask me that, what is more durable, this or the Max? The Max is crazy durable. This thing is very, very good, but I do tend to break things here and there for the amount of bashing I do. I do always seem to bend the back screws here on the bumper, even just kind of landing it somewhat on the bumper. Things don't generally break, but things do bend. I have bent the center shaft. I have broken or bent the rear dog bones. So if you do some crazy jumps in the sends, you will break stuff. That is part of owning this vehicle, but certainly above average in the durability category. Support wise, Tekno is not a large brand, but it's not a small brand either. You know, I rated a 5 out of 10 in the support category. For the most part, you'll be able to find parts online, but your local hobby shop is not likely to carry Tekno parts. It is fairly easy to work on. You know, the diffs are quick access. The center drivetrain is easy to work on. So in the support and maintenance category, I'm going to give it an average score of 5 out of 10. And then finally, the big question is, you know, is this worth it? The Tekno MT410 retails for about $450 here in the United States. That is, I think, a fair price for basically a race kit. It's somewhere in between like an SCT410.3, which I think sells for about $350 or so, $370, and then a full-on 8th scale truggy, which is going to sell for over $500. So I think the value is fair, but obviously you will need to add your own electronics, wheels, tires, and body. So once you're all said and done, I think my kit altogether cost me about $700 to put together. You know, probably $120 in the ESC and motor. This is basically just a 4S system out of an Arrma Kraton. Same thing with the tires. These are just backflip LPs from an Outcast 4S, so that's about, you know, $60, $70. Body's about $40. Servo is going to be about $40 for, you know, a budget servo. So you're going to be spending $700, $750 or so, depending on what kind of electronics package you get. So yeah, in the value category, I think it's a little below average because you are going to spend a bit more, but you get super high premium quality parts. This is full on race spec. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the MT410. So a total score of 36. It gets full 10 out of 10 in design and performance. Durability, I'm going to give it a 7. Support and maintenance, a 5. Value of 4. Total of 36 points. So very good vehicle overall. Now my thoughts on the Arrma Kraton 4S. I did own one for about a year. I personally think it has some highs and lows. It's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde type of thing. I think the performance is really good. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Support and maintenance, because it's sold by Horizon Hobby, it is reasonably easy to get Arrma parts in general. A lot of times hobby shops will carry those parts. Value, I think, was also really good. It sold for $400, which I think is an excellent value for that type of vehicle, a force vehicle. But in the performance, I'm sorry, in the durability and design category, I kind of feel like that's where it lacked it a little bit. It was pretty much just based off the 3S line. They just kind of supersized the arms and put in like a steel spur gear and just called it a 4S monster truck. So I felt like design's a little bit lacking, as well as the durability. That thing is all plastic. I think that design works really well, and the durability is really good for like a 3S vehicle, but once you supersize it into 4S, it really gets, I think, a little bit overpowered for that platform. So anyways, that's it. Those are my thoughts on the middleweights out there on the market today. I do like the Tekno MT410. It is awesome, but all these honestly are pretty good vehicles, and it kind of depends obviously on your budget, how much you want to spend and what you're looking for. But for me, my favorite is the Tekno MT410. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Look for more videos soon, and thanks for watching.